So the last kind of batch of books I wanted to very, very quickly go through, just kind of show some of the international kind of compilations and collections and anthologies, I guess, that I have of books from around the world, or I guess comics, publishing some strips from around the world. So first one we'll take a little quick look at is Knockabout Comics number 6. Cliff Harper, Hunt Emerson, George Sostek, Mike Matthews, Steve Gibson, Myra Hancock, Eddie Campbell, John Erasmus, Slim Smith, Steve Bell, and David Hine. I don't know if that's the David Hine that we know and love here, and I'm not sure if it gives any information. Anyway, so this is number 6, 1983, Knockabout Comics. This is one that's a little bit newer to me. Picked it up sometime last year. It's just neat to, again, I say it a million times a video, but it's really nice to get exposure to some artists and comics that you wouldn't normally see. And I mean, as I get older, I've always loved black and white books, but there's something about black and white books now that's especially appealing. You just really get to have a nice look at an artist without getting distracted by color. And one thing you'll hear us talking about in the Understanding Comics conversation this Thursday at 10 p.m. Is there's a whole chapter on there about the line and what significance the line has and what it can represent and how you can use lines themselves just to reflect a mood, which is a really appealing idea to me. And just something about like line weight and how on YouTube there's a lot of I don't want to get into it too much. I want to save it for the show, but there's a lot of videos on YouTube where you can see people like artists kind of doing their sketching. You know, most notably for me was seeing Charles Schultz drawing Charlie Brown, I believe it was, and just the confidence and just using one line, 2 lines, 3 lines, like a half a dozen lines to create something that we recognize is really amazing to me. But especially when you get into like little details of lines and it looks like it's, wow, they must have done it this way and back and forth and kind of going over it, and you actually watch the artists at work, and it's such a fast pace that they would just draw little details like this in, where it seems like it's so kind of really thought out, but it's so second nature to the guys that are confident and who have had the years of experience behind them. Sorry, not talking to you about the book, but you're seeing as it goes on just what kind of stuff we're into. And as usual, there's a bit of nudity there, so you should all know by now that it's a comic crack video, and that's just what's going to happen, so I no longer apologize for it. There's another look at some more strips here. It's funny though, because that said, I do like clean lines and stuff, but then there's things like this that just, they don't appeal to me when you'd think that they would, like the simplicity of it, but there's something about it, and it's that intangible thing, right, that's called your taste, that you don't always know why some things appeal and some things don't, you know what I mean? So there we have that. The Terror Twins. It's hard, some of the pages together here. There we go. I said it in the previous bit, a little Basil Wolverton influenced drawing there, I would think. Very reminiscent for sure. All the details, really nice. That kind of stuff is what I mean, you know. It's all those little things that make up an environment and things that they just fire away and use as like shading and cross-hatching and stuff. That's very, very impressive to me and really gives it a life. I mean, it, you know, maybe not to the best effect in this one, but that kind of idea, even in things like this too. So there's a look at Knockabout, and then we'll fire through Kitchen Sink, Dutch Treat, a little bit of price tag on there that I guess at one point, this one has been with me for a long time. I guess at one point I had tried to peel off and realized the errors of my ways, so I stopped. A little bit of the old Nick view for you there. Looks pretty sharp. Looks pretty great. Highlights from the Dutch comics magazine Tante Lene Presenteert. Obviously, I am fluent in many languages. This one is, it says 1977 by the creating artist of Free Dealer's Catalog. First printing February 1977, right there. So, hasn't been with me since 1977, but there you have it. So, and I'll just kind of fire you through this one. Again, I don't know tons about these artists. I just kind of wanted to give you a look at what kind of things are out there if you dig. And obviously some of the stuff isn't going to be translated in all languages. English, unfortunately, being one of the most spoken around the world. Obviously not the most spoken when you have populations in China and such. But chances are it's going to be, if it's gotten some notoriety, there's some English publications, some English versions. Titula, Electromania, the dog Bozo, and this one really impressed me quite a bit. Let me see if I can turn that around there. Harry Buckinx. I believe that's the artist's name. Anyway, love this piece a hell of a lot. There's two pieces in this comic by the same artist, and this is the one that really just draws me right into it. It's absolutely fucking beautiful. Just the use of space. It really reminds me of a little bit of Little Nemo in Slumberland, which I've always wanted to get. But every time I see it, I think that there was one version of it that was reproduced in this really obnoxious, giant, oversized book that I'm sure it's beautiful inside and everything, but it's just so ridiculous to put it anywhere without it getting damaged. I've decided to wait. But here you go. So, you're walking through the separate panels to experience it, and then you're pulling back to see the whole picture. Just beautiful, beautiful. A couple of nudie bits. And then we'll flip quickly to the other piece by that same artist. This one had a bit of a Tintin look to it. Here we go. Sorry, it's really difficult doing this with one hand. There you go. There's the other piece. Very old style to it, kind of 1920s illustration for advertisements and things. Love the layouts, love everything about that. So there you go, that's Dutch Treat. And the other one that I pulled out of the collection is Sake Jock Comics. So sorry about that glare. There you go. Let's try that. Comics from Today's Japanese Underground. And I think this is a newer one. Fantagraphics. It's still in really nice shape. So I'm gonna sort of flip through it, but I don't want to open it full. So this is from 1995. This one, and as much as stuff like this is fantastic, I really like the extra edition of just, even if it's 1 or 2 pages, just a brief index of who you're looking at, just making for searching easier. So there's that, and then this side here. And I'm going to give you a little look this way. But that very obviously Japanese style. Another very interesting chapter in Understanding Comics this Thursday, 10 p.m. Just talking about, every time they seem to talk about a chapter, they always go, except for comics in Japan, where they da-da-da, and they kind of go on a tangent. That happened a few times in the book, which I thought was interesting, and one of the things that draws me to especially some Asian cultures, the kind of mix. I guess I shouldn't say just specifically them. I think it's around the world. People are influenced by people all over the place. But I love the way in like Japanese cinema and stuff, how they just kind of take from other cultures and twist it into something completely their own. Is always very cool. So there's a look at that. Some great stuff there. Truly some good underground dirty bits. And there we go. So that's a look at Sakejaku. And finally, just a brief Rip-Off Comics number 8. This has been with me for a hell of a long time. I believe this is 1981. Yeah, 1981. Something they started, because I think I have from number 4 to 10, I think is what I have of these. This was the first issue, I think, that this feature started, Cartoonists of the World. So we get some Freak Brothers, we get some Jesus stories, we even get a bit of Wunderwolthog. Let me just get to, here we go. So in this first one, Rip-Off Comics International presents the British Comics bonus with a bit of a write-up on comics and then a bit of a write-up on the cartoonists themselves. Hunt Emerson, Tony Benyon, Edward Barker, Kurt Vile, Savage Pencil, Chris Welch, actually Savage Pencil, who does some drawings now for The Wire music magazine, UK music magazine, Leo Baxendale, Terry Gilliam, of course, and written by Mr. Gilbert Shelton. So Leo Baxendale here. Great use of pages in this one. Absolutely love it. Just the 3 panels. And then we move on to, oh, here we go, Savage Pencil right here. Pretty interesting style he's got. Three Eyes McGurk and his Death Planet Commandos. And this is Vile and Pedro Henry. So there's a look at that. So yeah, a really neat feature that they did that then carried through to the magazine edition of Rip-Off Comics. The magazines got a little, I don't think they were great. I remember at the time, man, just flipping through the issues ad nauseum. There we go, there's the Terry Gilliam one. But they kind of started going for themes as opposed to the drawings themselves and the artists themselves and just collecting. They wanted to go for this is the war issue and this is the I hate the president issue and here's the sex issue and this sort of thing, which I can understand. You want to have some sort of overarching kind of idea. But I like this style better of anthology where it's just kind of all over the place. But the point of that conversation was that they did some of this also in the magazines too, where they focused on comics from other parts of the world, where they reprinted some stuff too. So in this one we get a comics from France, sorry. And I believe this one is 1981 still as well. I think this was, I seem to want to say that this was only twice a year maybe. Well, there's 1982 in the next one, so maybe. And then we start out with the usual, the Freak Brothers, Goose, More Wonder Warthog. So here we go. A French letter from our Paris correspondent. Dear American friend, you wrote asking me to describe my country in which you intend to spend your vacation. So, and then it kind of has a rundown of the artists. Cécile Anguera, Daniel Goussin, Martin Véron, Charlie Schlingo, Jean-Marc Ressier, Philippe Petit-Roulet, François Volney-Dupuis, Bernard William Holtrop, Frank Margarine, Philippe Vuillemin, Florence Caistac, and Gerard Mathieu. Fantastic. Man, I could just forget English. I'm going French all the way. So a little look at some of the French comics in this one. Really great, this one. And if you're, one thing I should also mention, Tic au Tac from France. There is some Mobius stuff. If you look on my main page, I believe I have a whole section bookmarked where I've kind of compiled all the videos. Highly recommend. You don't need to understand what they're talking about to enjoy just the sheer fucking brilliance of seeing a lot of illustrators and cartoonists just performing their best at what was sort of, from what I can understand, sort of a game show of sorts, where they had a kind of theme that they had to create like a big comics piece. Mostly European artists. I believe there was a couple of American artists in there as well for a couple of episodes. Mobius did appear in a small amount of them, but start off with the Mobius ones and then just go from there, because they're all really enjoyable. Obviously some are better than others, but it's really fantastic and fascinating to see them creating these pieces in front of you, you know. So there we go. And that's the end there. And then just another quick. So this one is a special section, the cartoonists of Spain. We'll flip through the usual Wonder Warthogs, etc. And we'll get to special section Spanish comics. So again, the usual introduction page, and then and then what I didn't show the last time, they had it too for France. Motoring tips through Spain. The last one was through France by Gilbert Shelton. Day of the death of John Lennon. Don't want to take up too much more of your time. I'll probably just end up editing these into 2 videos, because I see this one alone is getting to 20 minutes already. So maybe we'll just do a 2-parter instead. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me today. Again, just a look at what's available for English speakers, as I am. And to not be too worried about, you know, like, obviously if you want to dive in, for sure grab some hardcovers, go balls deep and just go all the way. But just know that it can also be part of your kind of regular digging experience. Just kind of keep your eyes open in those used bookstores where they have the stack of comics. Your comic shop, ask them for, maybe in their back issues, maybe they don't have their underground stuff out. Maybe they don't have their Fantagraphics or Rip-Off Press or kitchen sink books, etc., etc. Maybe they don't have them out with the main stock of their back issues. ask around, you know, kind of dive in this way as well. Know that there's some cheaper comics where you can get a little taste, just to see if there's stuff, if you do like the style, if you do like the writing, if you do like the stories, and then you're able to go from there. Thanks very much for watching.